I have a somewhat non-consensus view. I didn't discuss with you earlier, so sorry for introducing this, and that is that we had the First World War, which knocked off a lot of people. It was a really difficult, if you read the history books. Then we had the Spanish flu, which then if you survive that, then you've also lost a lot of people in your family. And bizarrely, that gave the conditions for the Roaring 20s. You had the Gatsbys, people wanted to have fun, music changed, dress sense changed, a lot of dancing, people wanted to have fun. The longer this goes on, Andrew, I think we're creating conditions for the aging boomers who want the last more fun trip before they sort of localise, right through to our kids who have missed out. They want to have fun. And I think when this opens up, depending on how governments react to this, we are creating conditions coming out of this for, I'm not saying party time, but you're going to see a Roaring 20s type mentality because people have been cooped up.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory or hypothesis you're building there, because you could add to it 1990, 89, 90. Some of us are old enough to remember that, where eventually the wall in Berlin came down, and Berlin had been isolated sort of out on the end of an arm, if you like, in democracy, with the communists all around it and a wall down the middle. And finally, the Americans sent everyone in the East broke, and the wall came down, and the euphoria drove the German economy and drove Europe for
Hungary, Poland. If you look at what happened after that, and so the longer this stays controlled, the more on the other side you'll see people. But bringing two things: there's a lot of debt in the world that needs to be serviced. If it's government debt and they issue in their own currency, they can figure that out. On the private debt or on some, sort of poor quality assets, whether they're infrastructure or property, they'll get hit. And you don't necessarily want them to be refinanced. They will probably fall. And then how the economy adjusts quickly to the new regime, and as things open up, people want to have fun, just watch this space. I think that's going to happen quickly. In that world, rates may have been priced too low, and your long-term bond rates are going to get hit really hard.
Oh yeah, look, there's certainly a trigger there on long bonds. If it, you got no downside protection, and you can just get hammered. There's no protection on the rate fall.
No margin of safety.
All you can do is get hammered out the other side.
And interesting, we didn't mention inflation. We just said that they're just priced so expensive that your 10-year Aussie bond could go from 0.9 as it is today and end up somewhere in 2 years' time at 2%. It's got a 7-8 year duration. You've lost 10-12% on your bond.
Correct.
So your short duration credit idea is good. So I know it's a bit non-consensus. I introduced you to that last minute, but that's the type of world we're living in. It is going to change how policymakers, governments respond to that, how they allow the lockdowns to open up, and how they allow people to engage in their lives. Because remember, the baton has to be passed from government support back into the private sector. You can't let it fester. I get the short-term government support. I'm a Keynesian. I get that. But it's got to go to the private sector. And then when that baton gets passed, let it sort of, let it open up and let's deal with it. No idea about what it means in terms of COVID vaccine, treatment, virus control. I can tell you this, treatments will get better. Vaccines, who knows? People will adjust to the new norm or a new set of rules. Or people will be absolutely angry with a set of rules and actually protest against it. You're going to see that as well.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges in the United States is, you've got this weird situation where effectively a lot of people who don't have a lot are backing the Republicans who believe in tax cuts for the wealthy. and they're convinced on that. But, that they don't have a lot and they're in a really bad place and they're the first people to lose their jobs and they can't work from home. So now they're down at the mall chucking rocks, and I don't condone that sort of behaviour, but I understand it. And the longer this lockdown goes on around the world, the closer we get to rock chucking elsewhere.
Yeah, and so that's what it is. As I said, my only caveat to that is hopefully trade doesn't get out of hand.
Yeah.